Hello, hello. So you can hear me? Yes? Before I start, I want to ask something of you. I want you to think of the last party that you attended. I want you to think about getting ready for the party. Did you have a casserole? Were you taking a cooler, just a six-pack, a bottle of wine? I want you to think about where you parked your car. I want you to try to remember walking up to the door. And was the party outside? Was it inside? Was it a la-di-da? Was it a football party? Was there music? Was there just TV? Were there lots of kids? Were there people there you didn't like? Think about the party you attended. You should remember it, right? My haunting is a combination of a very fancy party and a wicked case of deja vu. Years and years ago, I was at home, and my neighbor, his truck wouldn't crank, and he needed to get to work. And he worked at the fisheries off of Whitehall Road, and he said, "Can you give me a lift?" And I was like, "Sure." And I drove him out to the fisheries, and when we were passing, we turned off the road, and there was this large house. And I was like, Tony and I went to a la-di-da there. We went to a party there. And he was like, "Yeah, I think they rent that house out sometimes." And I didn't think anything of it. When Tony came home, that was my husband at the time, I was making dinner. And I was like, "You didn't tell me Kurt worked out there where we had that party." And he was like, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "He works at the he goes, "I know where he works." I said, "There's that house. You turn off the road and there's that big house there where we had that party." And he was like, "Lorraine, I've never been there. Like, I know the house you're talking about." Okay, so this went back and forth. And I was like, "Yes." And he was like, "No." And after a while, I grabbed my keys in my purse and I said, "Okay, we're going." And we went. And we parked. And I said, "Now do you see the house I'm talking about?" He goes, "Lorraine, I've never been here." I started getting upset. I grabbed his hand and we walked around the front of the house to the right side of the building. And I said, "See?" And he said, "See what? What do you remember?" And I said, "Well, okay, so we're here and we parked the car back there and it had rained the night before and I'm really worried that my shoes are getting muddy." Sometimes when you tell a story and you remember something, it replays like a movie in your head. That's the first time I saw the movie play. The shoes were ivory leather, and the hem of my dress was a handkerchief hem. It's jagged. I don't own shoes like that, and I don't have a dress like that. And looking down, I can see his pants and his shirt and his shoes. Tony doesn't own those clothes. And he said, "Are you sure it's me?" And I said, "It's my husband." And he said, "What else do you remember?" He goes, "The cars. What do you remember?" And I said, "Well, they're parked back here, but I don't see them." And he goes, "What else?" And I said, "Well, when I look up from my shoes, there are all these people, and they're walking around, and everybody's wearing light colors, and the women have big, broad brim hats." And this is sounding crazier and crazier the more it came out of my mouth. And I said, "And the men are very dapper, and they're waiters with short-waisted tux coats, and they have white cloths, and they have trays, and there's champagne flutes, and there's hors d'oeuvres, and the waiting station is right over there in that gazebo that doesn't exist, that you could see where a gazebo had been a long time ago. There was music, but I don't remember hearing it. I can't tell you what it was, and I don't remember seeing the musicians. Memories have sound. And then I realized this one didn't have sound. It was like a silent film, but it was in color. I think what happened, do you know how music wafts like a smell? I think when I was driving by this house, a memory, a definite memory. It is a memory. The thing is, it's just not mine. But a memory wafted across that yard and into my car and into me. It's a memory. I'm haunted by a memory. Now, I have a master's in theater, and it's in my emphasis was in costume design. So I've thought a lot about this. The shoes, I think I would put them end of the 1920s, early 1930s, and that would really match the silhouette of the women's clothing and the cut of the men's. The house is called Filcham's Phoenix, and it's off Whitehall. I know nothing about the house, nothing at all. I think I heard somewhere that it burned at one particular point in time, but I don't know anything else about it. It's an insignificant moment. It's a moment of a woman worrying about getting her new ivory leather shoes muddy and being nervous at being at a very fancy party. It's an insignificant moment that just won't give up the ghost. Thank you.